Right, been having a little play with the tow bar on our Range Rover Sport 2005 to 2009. Same on the Discovery 3 and pretty much the same on the Discovery 4 as well. So this is the tow ball assembly. All cars have got the tow bar built in effectively. It's just you need to buy this sort of tow hook assembly and it pops up into the chassis. Now, we had one that came with our car. We couldn't quite work it out, so we've bought a new one, and we'll put these for sale on our website as well. But we'll demonstrate what's supposed to happen. There are people that show you how to fit it on and off the car on YouTube and stuff, but we thought we'd actually show you what is happening. And you've probably got a rusty one like ours here, and it probably isn't working. And we're going to show you how to strip it down, lubricate it, change the lock if you've lost the keys or broken keys, and get it working again. So hopefully you don't have to buy a new one. Right, and so let's have a. So basically, you've got this lock pin here. You've got this tapered bit here which goes up into the chassis. You got your key, and you've got this sort of twiddly bit. And this other key thing is this little pin here. So we'll have a look at the relationship between this little release pin here and this pin here. So when you get it, when it's out of the car, it will be, okay, also to remove it, you have to twist that, and then it's all to do with how much of this, you'll be able to see this red band here. This pin is up, it's hard to say as my little finger there, you can see it's about the same thickness as my little fingernail there. And this bigger lock pin is in the side. Now when you thrust it up into the chassis, there must be a little peg there. And what that does is that fires it out, and you saw that little pin fire out there, and that's what's locking it in there then. And also the red band is only just visible now, so it sort of goes boing boing boing, locks it, that's been pushed down, it's sent that other pin out, and it's also moved this and locked this.
So now you can lock it, take your key out,
and there you go, that's in the car. It's not going to fall out because that pin's secure, that's secure, no one can steal it. Happy days. Right, although actually that, did you...
It won't latch.
Oh, it won't. Oh, so it does move, you think
so
you're getting somewhere.
You can move it, but you
but
can
not enough to get it.
Retract it and then
that's key.
It returns
so
back.
It doesn't actually lock this totally, it just limits the travel. Is that a good way of explaining it?
Yeah, it limits the travel, it stops it reaching that
drop out.
That latching point.
Right. So to remove it, you have to unlock it. And you have to give it a little pull.
So you give it a pull.
Pull up, yeah. And then you see that's totally flush there. And that little pin's gone up. Right, so that's what's supposed to happen. So what is happening on ours, Ian? So that pin is well and truly in, isn't it?
Yep.
It looks like it's in. And interestingly, this little pin on this one is totally solid. Where if you get that little pin on that one, he wobbles about all over the place. So I think something seized here, so let's just see what it does. We can pull that out, we can twist it, this comes out, but not enough to get it in, I'm guessing, and it stops, it doesn't go completely, oh, nearly. So something's locked inside. Now, you may well just be able to put some WD-40 in here and down here and tap this and do it. But we're just going to strip it down and have a look. So, the first thing we're going to do is remove this key assembly. Now you can buy these new key assemblies. So if you've lost your key or the key seized, you can buy these from Land Rover. But be warned, there's two types. There's this type and there's this type, which both look the same until you look at the underside. Okay, so you can see there, if I put them next to each other, one is on the left of the picture is bigger than the one on the right. So what you need to do to work out which one you need.
If you've got it in the car.
If you've got it in the car.
If you've got it in the car, the first thing you do is if you turn it part way.
Yeah.
Turn it not all the way till it latches, and then it should.
If it's got like a little. So you think if you've got the notchy one, you know you need that big one with the notchy one. So we'll call that the notchy one, and the other one,
which seems to be the later car.
The later car, the 2010 on, hasn't got any notchy stuff going on. And it's also smaller. So let me just give you the dimensions there as well. Just so if you want to look. Oh, I've locked them. So that one there, you're going to read it for me.
42.
42, yeah,
43,
millimeters. And this one's bigger, you can see that.
This one's going to be...
He's going to be, what's he?
51
millimeters, okay? So that's the difference between those two. Big and small, notchy and non-notchy. Right, so we've got to get this out. Now you'll see there's a little pin here next to this sort of 1 and 2 symbol. Sorry, I'm not doing very well on the camera today. And you can just, we've just got a little punt and we're going to drift out. I'm going to catch it. There you go, drift out that little roll pin. Cotter pin or roll pin? Roll pin. Roll pin, I think they are. Yeah, cotter pins on the bike, and that's the tapered one. Yeah. Right, so there's that. Right, and then you can just pull that off. Now, if we have a look inside, so you see you've got this D-shaped hole, and then you've got this flat on here, and you can see where
get that on.
You can only get it on one way. Right, so that's that. So that's how. And if you wanted to change that and buy a new one, you could put now. You could get that new one, put it straight on there, hammer the little roll pin in, and you're away to go. So if your key's your problem, that's you sorted. Right, but if you're like us and it's not going and this pin is seized, we're going to strip this down. Now you may or may not have to do this, but we haven't done this before. Spin it round the other way in the vice here. We're going to work out. So this is just really an adventure here. But we like to strip everything.
Look like.
Yeah, so it's got this little blank on the other side. There it is, shiny and new. And we tried to undo this little hex Allen head bolt here, but we struggled. So we've actually ground a little slot across there, and
we've mashed this.
We've mashed it, haven't we? You didn't want to see that on video. That was horrible. So we got no idea what's in here, because we make. Oh, what have we got?
We've got some dry crusty grease.
Dry crusty grease.
An O-ring.
An O-ring to stop it getting dry and crusty. And it's a funny little segment.
Thick grease.
And it's got some like coggy looking things going on in there. Oh, he's pulling it out. What's he got there?
Oh, that's just for his...
Oh, something pointed out.
That would be our...
That ball. Ah, so you've got to be careful. There's a little ball that come out of there.
So it looks like this is what was your gear mechanism.
Oh, that's a little...
Winding that
it's like a little rack and pinion.
Yeah.
And that's what makes all that go. So that's the relationship between that shaft and...
So it looks like you have to bring it in, and it sits and floats there until you. So
we're going to go. So when you do that, you've got to be careful with this bar. As this comes out, you're going to have to catch that little ball. We've just heard it pouring in the warehouse. We're going to look in the workshop floor for that. Right now, what else can we? So now we can see that so that whole. Where's the shaft that came out with that? Did it? Oh yeah, sorry, that is the shaft. That's your D-shaped shaft.
So that's your D-shape that goes all the way through.
Yeah, we'll set this out nicely.
It looks like you need to pull that and then to be able to then wind it. It doesn't engage in that otherwise.
Right, and have a look at that. Where does that pin on this side? Where does that drop into then, Ian? So that does it drop into the? There's a little flat there, isn't there?
Yeah, it seems like this ball or pin or whatever it is. It goes up and locks it.
And do we think that should be spring loaded? What? Can we give that a tap now? Give that a tap down.
It moves down. But
it moves down. Can we see where's it? Yeah, because where does that go even?
It goes into that main shaft.
Into that main shaft.
It's just about there.
Is it?
I might need a light.
Right, have a look what's in there. I can feel something in the end of there. Oh yeah, I've got it. There's something going on there. So what have we got in there?
See, it just comes down.
Ooh, yeah, down a bit. There we go. So there is something there. So we're going to wiggle that. Right, we'll get this cleaned up and greet and we'll.
So that should be.
That pushes that pin up. So we'll just get that cleaned up and explain it a little bit more. So that's what happens there. So we've just put some paint over our rusty old one. It's not really a new one. And we've laid out all the bits. So I'm just going to run through all the bits and they're roughly laid out how they go back together. So you've got the small bolt there that held in that end blanking plate on the other end of there. You've got the big spring loader that goes into this main plunger. you've got the worm drive here with the spring around the outside. Then you've got the red plate that's bolted on here, and then the green lock mechanism and the roll pin that holds that in. Then you've got this little spring and the ball bearing, and that sits inside there. We managed to find it on the workshop floor. So the ball bearing sits in there. And basically the way it works is, as this shaft moves backwards and forwards, the ball bearing's it's inside, it's enclosed, but there's a little gap here, and the ball bearing fires halfway out and locks it, and then that fires that pin up, and then you need to push the pin down again, and this spring pushes the plunger back out. So that's obviously when you insert the tow bar, it pushes down on that, recesses the ball into the tube, and that spring fires that pin out and locks it. So that's basically, and we might do a kit, put it on the website where you get some grease in a little tube, a new screw for the end bit because they look like they're going to be a bit of a pain to get out, and a new lock if you want a new lock. But basically, I think a ball bearing. Yeah, Ian's suggesting put a ball bearing because they are a bit boing and sort of disappear. Right, so let's have a go at putting it back together, shall we, Ian? What are you going to do? You're going to put it in the vise and do it in the vise, do you reckon?
Are we going to scratch up our nice new paint?
Oh, he's getting all precious over it now. Right, you've got to remember the order to put it all back together in now.
God knows.
Yeah, that was easy. Right, let's screw that little.
I think that goes at the top.
The top.
So where the lock.
The lock bit goes towards the
Seems to go towards the top.
Right, and that's those two screws. Just put those in. Just tap those in lightly for now. We can tighten them up off video.
No.
No.
This side.
This side, that's got two holes.
Yeah.
The one hole's the other side. That's why we put it this way round in the vise then.
Yeah, because I knew I was going to start there.
Yeah.
So they're actually offset slightly. So you can only
it's foolproof, is it?
Yeah.
Cool. We love foolproof.
That's a really good one to do.
Right, yeah, that's easy.
I
I reckon that long pin. Didn't we get that long pin out last? Because that long pin, this pin here, that release pin, that was the last bit we took out, I reckon. Because that's got to pass up through the. What sort of grease we got here? We got some.
It's just a bit of copper grease. Anti-seize, because we're not going to be taking ours in and out much.
No. Okay, so that goes through. There's a little hole under there, and then it fires up through past the main cavity. And it'll pop out the top here. There he comes. Whee! And the grease will actually stop that dropping down again, which should. He says,
but I'm going to put some fresh grease on this bit because
it's all, as you've put it in there, it's all sort of oozed out, is it?
Yeah.
Because I think that was one of the main problems we had, was that seized up. Again, you might just get away with putting WD-40 down it without stripping it all down. But if you strip it down, you know you're good for 10 years plus, and it's just done.
Just work that grease around a little bit, make sure.
Yeah, that'll stay in there.
I'm not really going to worry too much about those.
Right then, what we got now?
Two options. You put the main pin back in.
I reckon the main pin and that little spring goes back in.
I'm going to pop a little bit of grease just in that hole.
There you got your spring. Which way is your?
That spring.
We never got that here.
Spring first off, just.
Yeah, get it in.
A little bit of grease.
Just on that spring, yeah, he's not so worried about that, are we? And then the outside of that's the main one, isn't it? So yeah, you could effectively buy any rusty tow ball with no keys off eBay or somewhere, and you could just buy a new lock, a bit of grease and a bit of time, and you could have yourself a brand new lock assembly. Right, so you're going to have to put that in there, and then stop it coming out somehow, because as soon as it pops out, but if you put that in here and push it in, it should spring up and lock, shouldn't it?
It
should. I reckon.
Do we need to assemble
this bit first?
So then we can then wind it back.
But that must need to be at the right position, mustn't it? Because it's got a lock at the right place. So there must be a way of keying that to the... I'm gonna stop and we'll just work it out a little bit. Okay, so we think we've worked out the next bit. So you put your ball in, you've got your spring in here. You put your ball on top. Now this is a bit tricky, this bit. We've had 3 goes off camera already. And we're trying to work out a little... Now to stop losing the ball, we're going to put a bit of tape just over this, just to stop it plinging off and either blinding us. Now, you've got to make sure you've got this back bit flat if you come and have a look, Ian. And what we're going to try and do now is we're going to use a combination of water pump pliers, because we've got to squish the ball in and push the plunger in, and hopefully with all the grease on here, the masking tape will stay behind and it will go in. So let's see if I can get this right. So we've got to just find out where that ball is. He's there. Right, I've squished him in. Right, hopefully that'll... Right, okay, now what you've got to do is once you've got that roughly there...
Get this cog one.
Get that cog one. Don't worry which orientation this in.
We're just going to put that through the hole.
Right, and then I can let go of this. You in?
Gently.
Now, that stops it. Now, don't worry which orientation. We've got to line this up the exact way, but for now, don't worry about it. Now, the spring hasn't caught, but what we can now use this as a lever. So we line the flat up with that, and we can wind this. Don't engage it. Give a bit of a gap. We can now wind this in, and we should have the ball engage and fire that pin up. There. Okay, so that's now locked. I can feel there's no, and that's now in there. And now what we need to do is work out the correct orientation to put this in at. Okay, so we'll work that out and show you how to do that. So we're locked in place, and we've cheated. We've disassembled a new one, and what we're trying to do is get this at the same angle. So if you just have a look, if I put a ruler on the flat there, we're just in line with this bit here, okay? So you just zoom out a bit, Ian, so they can just look at that.
Yep,
okay, got it. Right, so what we need to do is get the flat, and I've coloured it yellow there. So we need to have it point in, so we should put it in from the back. We've got the spring, right, and get that. So he's pointing. That's one, and it's quite a lot out, because if you move it to the next cog round, it's round there, which if you look from the end is clearly not right. There, that's right. So that's where we need to be. There. So what we can now do is put that little plate on. Put that plate on the side here. Which doesn't fit.
It won't fit because it will be pushing the pin in.
Ah,
that's the whole
that's
point.
It. Yep.
And then we can use our
that
new
bolt.
We lined it.
No, I lined it up. I'm not far off. You got it?
That started.
I started. Thank you. Yep, I'm losing it now. But you're right, that should be, because it's now,
that's why you have to put it back to disengage it from that plate.
Okay, so we can do that up fully now. I mean, you could put a bit of Loctite on that if you're super keen. Okay, right, so now we're ready to, last bit of the assembly is get our lock, drift that in, and so we're going to try and get it lined up with that. Okay, so I don't know if we better see through there or whether that will just line up. In fact, let's check with our drift first to check we've got it lined up. Right, now do we have to unlock it perhaps? Ah, there you go, unlock it,
make sure you're not locked.
So you check your through then, and in fact if I put that through the back end, Ian,
there we go.
And
that started.
That's a bit of a fierce hammer.
You want to use the punch and just push it in a little bit, so it goes, should be a little bit sub-flush.
Yeah.
The hole through is actually longer than the...
There you go, just a little, and just check it's not coming out the other side. Yep, so that's well and truly in. That should be our tow ball rebuilt. So let's see if that works. So when it goes in, let's give it a little tap on the top. We push it into the tow ball. That fires out like it should.
And
Okay.
you pull it out.
Pull it out.
And wind it back down.
Wind it back in. Pin goes out. There we go. Tow bar fixed. Good luck with that.